Welcome to the Create a New You show, helping you to do better, go further, have greater, feel exceptional, and improve the quality of your life. Here is your host. I am the Sharonda.
Hi, I am the Sharonda, and this is the Create a New You show. Today's episode is about the law of attraction. And if you don't know about it, you'll want to watch this episode. It will change your life. Today, I am here with Cat Sansone, the expert on law of attraction. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, tell me, what is the law of attraction in a nutshell?
It's what goes around comes around. What you do comes back to you. How you approach people, how you text, what you click like on Facebook, what you comment. When you just walk into a room, your energy. You know, people walk in like this, and or people come in like this, or people come in like what? You know, so however you act, and people will respond, and then things happen in your life that will correspond with that. Whatever you're thinking here and how you're treating, it will affect the way you move and act, and it helps you manifest good or bad depending on what you're doing.
Interesting. Now, how did you get into how did you become the expert? Because you are. How did you become, really into teaching it and talking and sharing the law of attraction?
So when I was very young, my father would take me to ESP conventions, which were extrasensory perception conventions, when I was like 6, 7, 8, which was unheard of. I'm 54 now, so was a long time ago. And so he taught me that about hypnosis. He taught me that people actually there's a power of suggestion. So through my life, he'd talk about Napoleon Hill and different major teachers through the years. So I always knew there was something else like out there. And then when I was young, I started reading lots and lots of books, and I always was a underdog taker. So from a really young age, I'd be in school if a girl was shy or being picked on. I want to take her and turn her into the cheerleader, popular girl. I always wanted to help people. I was one of the first people to have my own phone line in my home, so people would pass my number out in school and tell people to call me. Random people would call me for advice when I was 12 and 13 years old. Yeah, so a story I'd like to tell you that really made me realize later, because I didn't really realize it was a gift kind of thing. I thought it was a choice kind of thing. But I remember at about 13, a boy called me. He was a few years older than me. I didn't know him. He'd gotten my phone number and asked if he could talk to me because he was feeling suicidal and he had a gun. So I was talking to him through the whole night. I never saw him again, but about 4 years later, a knock at the door, and my mom said an officer is at the front door. And I came to the front door, and it was a man with a hat, like a Navy outfit, and he introduced himself, and he said, "I'm that young boy that you talked to that night, and because of you, I got through that." And I wish I had gotten his name, but I didn't, and so now I can't, find out who he is. But that happened young, so I was always giving advice. Yeah. However, about 20 years old, I decided I didn't want to do it because it was very draining. It's a lot.
It's a lot of giving.
It's a lot of giving, and I didn't feel like I was getting it back. And I used to think, well, they could do it. If I'd ask people if I was going through something, they'd be like, "Gosh, I don't know." And if you'd ask me, I don't care if I knew about it or not. I'm like, "We'll figure this out. We'll figure it out." So about when I turned 50 is when I started to really turn over the law of attraction. I started to really trust in it and ask universe, God, all of it, what do you want from me? Where do I belong? And all the while, when I started on Facebook, I was getting all these inboxes every week on people asking me to help them. And I kept saying to them, like you were telling me earlier, I was like, "I don't have enough time today. I'm sorry, I can't," So I was singing. I've been a professional singer my whole life and working with people that way. And now I teach voice lessons and do artist development. but through that, I was helping people more and more. I was helping these children who really needed it, and young adults who were in bands and stuff. And then I realized it was there all along, and I needed to be doing this full time. So now I do it full time. That and the teaching. So, and I'm loving it. It's just
because it's where you're supposed to be.
It's where I'm supposed to be, because I listened. I took time off from singing. I was singing in all the bands, and I just decided I wanted to take some time off and really find out where I belong. So I kept saying every day for about 3 months, where do you want me? Where do I belong? What is right for me? And how will I help the world? So I did it for about 3 months. And then one day I got a phone call from a studio to start teaching voice lessons. And then within a 24-hour period, another studio that didn't even know each other asked me the same thing. And then I had 3 people inboxing me asking me to do my home studio. So I looked up and went, okay, I hear you. Okay, I got it. So I did that, and then, but so you have to listen. You know, you put it out there, and then you listen to the nudges.
Right.
And you'll know them by how easy they feel for you. If they feel like work, or it feels like it's just, then it's not the universe talking to you. So.
Right.
Yeah,
and
just following it.
That's in any industry where if you have that gut feeling that you're supposed to do something, but it feels difficult. It feels like it's like you're going to reap some negative benefit if you follow it. Then maybe that's not what it's supposed to be.
Trust
it's
your
always
instincts.
Your instinct and where you're supposed to be and what the universe is trying to tell you and guide you into is always peaceful.
Right. It's a flow. There's a flow. You will feel that flow. If the door's shut, a lot of people think, well, I'm supposed to just shake that door. And I always say, back off and look at the perspective. And sometimes it's just a little shift. And just follow it. If you just trust, you will get, you'll find, like you were telling me a little bit about yourself, that you were asking. And
you ask and you expect to see it come.
Yeah.
Expect it to manifest.
Yes.
So with the law of attraction, something that anybody could do, right?
Right. Well, first of all, everybody does it. You're doing it right now. Everybody's constantly manifesting, like 24/7. So everyone actually is manifesting masters.
Okay.
The only problem is most people are manifesting, and they don't know it. They're manifesting by default. So other people are affecting them. They're allowing it because they don't understand their own power. So they're not creating. They are creating. I should take that back. They're creating, but they're creating bad. For example, right now somebody is deciding to murder somebody somewhere in the world. Somewhere right now, somebody's planning it. They're using the law of attraction. It's just like gravity. It doesn't care if you're good or bad.
Right.
So whatever you're choosing to do, you'll accomplish it, unless you get stopped or something along the way. But if you want to do something bad, you can do that. You can plan it and think it and work it out, and that will happen. And then you will reap that consequences of that life, which will be icky. Or you can say, I want to be healthy, I want to be happy, I want to be fit, I want to be strong, I want to be wise, I want love, I want money, I want to give to the world, I want to travel the world. And when you start talking like that, and you start creating and doing the things to get your mind reprogrammed from all the junk that we were programmed in those first 18 years, when you start to really work that junk out, work with life coaches and really get help and support to become a better person, when you start to do that, you start getting the things you want versus the things you don't want. So give me anybody who's miserable out there, and I'll guarantee you, I'll show you everything that they've manifested, how they got exactly what they got, how they got overweight, or how they got sick, or how they lost their home, or how they got this, and then give me somebody who's doing really well, and I'll tell you how they got that. There's actual patterns, people taking care of themselves, people working out. That person's going to look good. That person's going to feel good. They're not going to have diabetes or blah, blah, blah. Or even if they're predestined to it, they still might not get it because they're doing all these things. So it really is, we're all manifesting 24/7. And people say, that one interesting thing in my group, the Law of Attraction Support Group, there'll be people and they'll say, I've been doing this for years and this stuff doesn't work. And
Well.
I guarantee you, if I was a bug on their wall, I can guarantee you, I could tell you that they're not doing it consistently, purposely trying to retrain their brain and create the life that they want. What they're doing is they do it sometimes, and then they're not, and they go back and sit and do nothing, and they're like, and then, and they try it again. It's like planting a plant and then pulling it up for a couple days and putting it back. You can't, it's gotta get traction, then it's gotta get momentum, then it gets a turning point, and then a tipping point. And that takes time. There's gestation periods. There's always that waiting period and that buffer, and people get impatient, and then they don't keep practicing the good. So they sit back and they think they're not manifesting, but
they are.
You're manifesting. I mean, I always say no response is a response. And when you don't do something, you're doing something. You're doing something. And most people don't understand that. They're thinking, well, I'm not gonna do this stuff, it's bull, it doesn't do anything, and then they're still getting stuff coming at them, and they just gave up taking the helm and saying, this is the life I want to live.
So when we talk about law of attraction, typically you hear about it in the positive sense that you want to use law of attraction when you are trying to bring more money into your life, or you're trying to bring love into your life.
Yes.
But the reality is that the law of it is you're attracting, period. So sometimes we do things that attract what we don't want. And then sometimes we do things that will attract what we do want.
Correct.
But the fact of the matter is that you have to be clear about what you want and stay on that road to achieve whatever that is.
Correct.
So that you don't find yourself like, how did I get here? You don't want to. You don't want to.
It's nobody just gets anywhere just by that. Now, in that first 18 years, unfortunately, I believe that we are victims of our parents and our parents' parents and our parents' parents'. So nobody's really to blame. It's just that it just keeps getting passed down, the non-skills on how to raise children. So if your mother could have yelled at you when you were 2 when you spilled milk and told you were so stupid and what a dumb kid you are. And so then you get that message in your head at 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a real hard habit to break. So what happens is kids, so we go to sleep, we work all day. There's a 24-hour cycle. You sleep, you eat, and you do these things. And let's say all day, like you talk to me tonight, and you're going to be like, yeah, I got this. And then you're going to wake up tomorrow, and most of us go back to our default button, what our childhoods were like. And so we go back to this, and then, somebody dies, or somebody scowls at you, gives you a dirty look, or somebody's mean to you, or worse, or you spill coffee on your computer and you lose all your stuff. Most people can't deal. Most people go, wah, they don't go, okay, how can I be calm in this situation, and just how can I help it? Or if a child was raped a lot when they were young, they might go their whole life blaming and mad at the world, right? But really the truth is at 18, it's time to say, the buck stops here. I make all my clients say to me, the buck stops here. So I don't care what junk you've been raised with. Oh, well, it's time to let it go. And all the universe cares about is, what are you going to do today? It doesn't care if you worked out yesterday, if you worked out for 4 hours. And it doesn't care if you ate yesterday. What it cares about is, are you going to eat healthy today and work out today?
In the present.
And think about Olympic athletes. They worked out 6 hours yesterday, or 8 hours, and they ate healthy yesterday. But guess what they're doing today?
Again today.
Again. I have a sign by my bed that says, Cat, good morning, Cat, do it again.
I like it.
You just got to do it again, because you have to get momentum and residual buildup in order for it to hit tipping points. That's when you see Bill Gates, or you see people that are really big, they did hours and hours of work in those early years. Have you ever heard of the 10,000 hour rule? Yes. So that takes like years, like 10, that can take up to 10 years to get 10,000 hours in, but those are the most successful people because they put time in their craft in what they do, and then they end up being the best that, in their field. So it's the same with working out. It's the same with eating. It's the same with creating your life, which is the law, working the law of attraction. Work it. Like I do with people who want to kill themselves. And I say to them, give me a year. Give me a year, okay? You want to kill yourself, go do it in a year. But give me a year of every day doing this walk, working out, eating healthy, and because I believe it's all connected.
Yes, it is.
And like you said, when you start feeling better about yourself, you start to tend to eat better, you start to feel better, laugh better, you want to go do things more than sit when you're sad and you just want to feel sorry for yourself, right?
Right.
So it all is connected. That's what I work with them, and I say, look, if I can get you to visualize every day and write in your journal, your gratitude things and do some other things. I have like this, pages of things I have them do. So they always say, okay, what's my homework today, Kat? So I give them homework for the week when we're done at the end of our sessions.
Awesome.
That they grow and we peel away the junk. It's always trying to get rid of the stuckies, because even the best of us get stuck, My dad died last year, and I was like, oh wow, okay, this is a new venture. I'm going to have to deal with death and what that feels like, and the mourning of a loss. So it took me about 3 months to dig. But for my dad, I kept saying, for you, I'm going to figure this out. And it took me 3 months, and then I was like, okay, I got this. But what was interesting, as I had the Law of Attraction support group, and up until then, we had been getting 70 to 100 people a day in the group.
And this is on Facebook.
Yes. And I'd only had the group a year and a half. And at that point, it wasn't even a year. I think it was a year. We had just had it a year. And we had just hit 10,000 people. And the day my dad died, we had 1,200 people join. And then it was 1,000, roughly 1,000 a day for like 6 weeks. And I had 4 administrators, and we were all panicking because we didn't know we were trying to keep the page cleaned up, from spam and things. And I was like, whoa. And then it leveled off, and then we were back to about 100 a day, so we're about 70 to 100 a day again. But it was like that for about 6 weeks. And I remember thinking, whoa, what is that? Like, is that from my daddy? That was interesting, that surge of energy.
So how many people are you at now?
We're at 63,800 people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you started with 1.
Well, yeah, and when
forward.
I first opened it, I added some of my friends. I maybe had like 100, and you could, people weren't that, it was just my local people. But now I have people all over the country, all over the world, Japan. I even have people in Iran and Iraq. That was the most surprising part for me. And Sweden, and it's like everywhere. And I have clients all over the United States and in Canada. I have a few people in Canada. So
that's amazing.
It is amazing, and I love them all so much.
Thank you for watching the Create a New You show. We've been talking about the Law of Attraction with Cat Sansone. Now, she has a phenomenal support group on Facebook, the Law of Attraction Support Group. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So check it out. Go on Facebook and find her. She has all kinds of wonderful videos, things that can help you. And as she said earlier, that you should study and get help with your new process, with your new track, okay? So as always, I want you to do better, go further, have greater, feel exceptional, and improve the quality of your life. I am the Sharonda. Thank you for watching.